One of my favorite things to do is to combine the pentatonic scale, the blues scale, and the diatonic major scale together into one shape. So I can weave in and out and add different notes. It's really easy to do once you learn the cage system because you can see everything overlap. So you'll have 3 boxes basically per shape. So for every box, there's 3 versions of the box. And once you memorize what those are across the board, you'll start out with pentatonic and then the blues and then the diatonic major. But you're going to see this great overlap, which is going to give you so many options. So the first thing we're going to start out with is A pentatonic. Really simple. It's the first scale most of us learn to use. It's simple. There's a couple guys who've made a great living on that scale. And it's just a fun scale. It gives you all that, you know, really bitey, something simple. And it's fun, and it can get you in and out of trouble. It's kind of neutral. You can add and shift out of stuff, and if you're really in a jam, at a jam, and they're calling changes, you can just move that box wherever you got to go. So, and it can get you in and out of trouble. It's pretty cool. Next up is the blues scale. It's got 1 different note. The devil note, as they like to call it, which always cracked me up. But it's a fun little thing. Goodness, there's a couple guys who've made a great living using this scale. And it's one of the most popular in rock and metal because it gives you a lot of movement, and it's just as simple. So if you look at what we did, we literally just added 2 notes. So and same thing, it gives you you've got that whole setup to work in and out of. So now you went from having just, now you've got another note to play with. You can take it in and out, you can make it jazz, you can make it country, chicken picking, whatever you want to do with it. It's actually really cool because, again, by having that extra flavor and knowing that you have that extra flavor to pull out, it makes it really cool. Last but not least, in this case, this box would be the Phrygian box. So this would be A Phrygian, which would be the diatonic mode of the major scale. So this is really cool. This is going to add completely different notes than what you saw. So you're going to take this shape, which is going to be 1, 2, okay, in this case your pinky, so 4, not fret notes, those are your finger positions, and it's going to be 3, I'm sorry, it's going to be 5, 6, and 7, so. That's another shape. But if you've noticed now, all those shapes go together. Everything lays in the same thing. I haven't moved my hand. I'm playing within the same 4 fret stretch. Okay? So in this case, from A to C, I'm right in the gap. There's nothing different here. Here's where the fun part comes though. So now if I add every note, I add the blues note in there, with that, I get this scale. So I've got a full chromatic run on the A string. I've got what we call the Eddie Van Halen scale on basically G, B, and E strings. You know, so you've got that nice little. You've got all that flavor to play with. And it was really easy to see. So now you've got odd notes, passing notes, chromatic tones, all these things that can bring the scale in, and you're not stuck to being in that one tiny little box. You can limit yourself to that shape if you'd like to, but now you can move that entire process up. If you want to play it in E, and just change the flavor of it, you're right there. It leads to so many possibilities. And again, the beautiful part of it is you visualize and actually look at this on a piece of paper, lay everything out, write out your pentatonic scale, write out your blues scale, then write out your major scale and look at them. You'll see that it's only a matter of a few notes. So all we're adding in the major scale is those 2 notes there. Okay, we're adding these 2. Okay, and we're adding this. So again, every time you progress, when you go from the pentatonic scale to the blues scale, you're adding 1 note. When you go from the blues scale to the diatonic major scale, which in this case is the Phrygian scale, you're adding 2 more notes. So it's very simple. So by adding those simple 3 little notes, you've got all these choices. And again, you've got just simple things that you couldn't do. Normally in a Phrygian progression, you wouldn't have this. You can change and move around and tap and finger pick and sweep, and there's different arpeggio shapes and things that you wouldn't have had if you take, you know, move this through. You're only limited to what your imagination can do at that point, which is really cool. If you go listen to Randy Rhoads, Eddie, Steve Vai, any of those guys, you're going to hear a lot of added flavor to it. That goes back to Miles and the Coltrane and all these guys that really dug deep. There's a great book out there by Tommy Floyd called Chordal Harmony that will also really blow your mind as a guitar player, really open up some great areas for you. So that is my take on combining the 3 scale shapes. Now, I am going to dive deep into this and teach you all 5 box systems, or cage system, whatever you like to call it, for all the scales, for pentatonic, okay, for blues, and for diatonic major, and then we'll go into the modes and its sounds and the chords that work underneath it, and of course arpeggios later on. But this is really the core of it. This is the thing I want you to start thinking about, hearing those sounds together and making everything work. Thanks. Share with your friends. Have a great night.